Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. It means we're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. About half that work week in the rearview mirror. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and we got a ton to get to. We got a new Saints training camp darling that we're going to talk about. Plus, Colin Cowherd thinks the Black and Gold are headed to the playoffs. We'll get into a little bit of that. It's What If Wednesday. If you want to hit me with one of those questions for 30 minutes from right now, hit us up on the text line, 225-499-1045. We will talk to Dr. Chris Bankhead from Oxner coming up at the end of this hour. Lane Kiffin met with the media earlier today. We got some sound there. And then, LSU football practice started today, so I guess we'll get into a little bit of that. We're going to do some defensive stuff in the second hour. I focused on the offensive stuff. We'll do that to crank up the show, and we do that with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
We got there. Got to LSU's first practice of fall camp. Brian Haydad from Super Talk Mississippi had a tweet earlier this morning that said it's a little bit silly that we call it fall camp in the middle of summer when it's 100 degrees. And I don't have a disagreement with that, but it's always been called fall camp, so I'll call it fall camp. It kind of feels like summer camp. It's kind of like when we call the practices before baseball season spring practice, and it's like January 26th. Not a lot of spring about January 26th, but it's just the terminology we've always used. But in any event, they started practice today for the 2026 season, the first of the Lane Kiffin era, and we were allowed to go in for about 12 minutes. Now, here is the opening salvo on that. I have told y'all this dating back to the Brian Kelly days. I appreciate camp access. I don't demand it. I don't expect it. It makes our job easier to do for you to provide content when we get an hour and 45 minutes out there, like we did in the Brian Kelly era, when we get access to scrimmages multiple times before the season starts. Like, that makes our job a lot easier to produce written content on LouisianaSports.net, to produce content here, to formulate opinions, to go through depth charts, to talk about highlights. But it's not something that I demand or expect. And Lane Kiffin in Oxford did not allow much access to the media. It was kind of come in, 15 minutes, take some rolls, see who's in a non-contact jersey, watch stretching, get out. And he came to Baton Rouge, and he said, okay, we'll give you some access in the spring. And we got 30, 40, 50 minutes out there at times during spring workouts. And I'm kind of looking at this going, okay, we'll see. Brian Kelly changed his ways from Notre Dame to LSU. Will Lane Kiffin kind of change his ways from Ole Miss to LSU? And today was a resounding no to that. Again, we were able to go in there for 12 minutes. I appreciate that. But I'm not going to try to extrapolate 12 minutes into an hour of content here. It's just not realistic. And so what I decided to do, understanding that the periods were going to be short today, I did not try to survey the entire football team. I can't do that in 12 minutes. I could go and write down all the numbers that are in attendance without watching anything they do in 12 minutes, but I can't watch any of practice in 12 minutes if I try to watch the quarterbacks and the running backs and the receivers and tight ends and then go check on the D-line and see what the corners are doing and see what Blake Baker's doing with Chris Kiffin and the linebackers and see who's working at star and know who's here and who's not there. You can't do it in 12 minutes. So I decided today I was going to beeline for Sam Leavitt. I was going to watch him practice for 12 minutes. That's what I did today. I'm going to get into defensive stuff in hour two because Matt went over the depth chart with me because he took defense, and we finished practice. He talked to me, and I wrote up the practice report at LouisianaSports.net, which you can read for free. And I don't have any nuts and bolts of what went on the defense side of the ball because I didn't see it, but he gave me their first 2 11s out there, and that's up online, and we'll talk about it in hour two. I watched Sam Leavitt today because I think he's the story of right now in camp. And Sam Leavitt, who we saw in spring, came out for the first couple of practices in tennis shoes and threw the ball around a little bit and then got that screw removed from his foot and then didn't really do anything for the rest of spring. He was out there today. He was dressed out with everybody. He had his cleats on, not tennis shoes. He was jogging lightly between drills. I didn't see any sprinting. They didn't do any 11 on 11. They didn't do any 7 on 7. But he was out there as a full participant, as you would expect. He was getting the lion's share of the repetitions, as you would expect. Those things were chopped up pretty good in the spring between Huson Longstreet and Landon Clark. Sam Levitt was leading the offense in every drill. That's not breaking news, but we did see it in person today. As far as what he did, when we got out there, he was working on RPO stuff and read option stuff. He worked with Caden Durham in that. Dylan Jones went second, and Harlan Berry went third. I don't read too much into that. When they went back over to do the individual running back drills, it was Dylan Jones first, and then Caden Durham first, and through Harlan Berry first, and then third. I don't see too much value in that in 12 minutes of the first practice. But Levitt went out and then started working with the tight ends. Every time Trey'Dez Green took a rep, Sam Levitt took that rep. That was just, they were lined up every single time, and I think that's very much done purposefully. Malachi Thomas and Sam Levitt also worked together. Longstreet and Clark worked with the guys down the line. You saw J.D. LaFleur out there, saw J.C. Anderson out there, but when the main guys went, Levitt would go. They worked with those tight ends for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then they went with the receivers. When Sam Levitt took over in that drill, he was working first, obviously. Working first on his side of the field with the wide receivers every time was Jace Brown. Malik Elzy was over there as well. Again, it's 12 minutes of the first practice here. But I do believe it is absolutely reasonable to suggest that Jace Brown will lead LSU in targets as a wide receiver, and Trey'Dez Green will lead LSU in targets as a tight end, might lead LSU in targets, period. I think it's very possible those two guys lead LSU in targets. I think Jackson Harris has a stake in that. I think Winnie Watkins has a stake in that. It wouldn't stun me if someone that is not top of mind, like perhaps Trey Wilson or Phillip Wright, jumped in there. But right now, I think it's reasonable to say, yeah, there's a reason Jace Brown's working first over there. There's a reason Trey'Dez Green's working first right there. Those two guys lined up with Levitt every single time. Now, what did it look like? Well, Levitt was very good, I thought, in the short and intermediate stuff. He hit Trey'Dez Green on a couple of crossing routes. He hit Trey'Dez Green on a couple of seam routes. When they worked on things around the line of scrimmage, he threw a nice hitch to Winnie Watkins. All that, the ball zipped really nicely. He was on target around the line of scrimmage. When they stretched the ball down the field a little bit, you saw a little bit of rust. You saw a little bit of inaccuracy. If you've been inside Tiger Stadium before kickoff when the teams are on their side of the field getting ready to play, and you've seen when the wide receivers just kind of run 75% on a straight line go route down the sideline and the quarterbacks just kind of lob it up. Saw a couple of those from Sam Levitt, and he overshot Jace Brown on one of those, and he overshot Malik Elzy on one of those. And then they got into some more full-speed stuff, and he kind of underthrew a deep ball that Trey Wilson had to adjust to catch, and he threw a deep ball that Phillip Wright was going for, and Phillip Wright ended up dropping it. I didn't see a lot of accuracy on the deep ball. There were two really good ones. The best throw that Sam Levitt made all day today. Again, this is not working on defense at all. This is just quarterbacks and receivers getting loose for practice. That's what we were allowed to watch. He threw a deep corner route to the left side of the football field, way back into the corner, and he hit Jace Brown, right in stride over the inside shoulder for a beautiful throw and catch there. But again, it's the first day. It's the lowest stress you're going to see. Nobody's in pads. There was no defense out there. It was not 7-on-7. It was not even 1-on-1 on the outside. It was just the offense working on air. But the main point of my exercise today was to watch Sam Levitt move around, watch the reps he was taking, and then just take a small interest into who he was working with. And to me, he checked off a lot of boxes. He was moving just fine. He was full participant. He was leading all the drills. His arm looked very healthy and good. He didn't show any ill signs. He wasn't wearing any equipment on his foot or his ankle. And I noticed that he went with Jace Brown and Trey'Dez Green more than any other two pass-catching options. So that was kind of the story of Sam Levitt. Lane Kiffin met with the media today and said that was the best he's seen Sam. Now, he wouldn't have seen very much of Sam because Sam didn't do very much at all in spring, and the coaches are not supposed to be out there in the summer. So it would stand to reason this would be the best Sam has looked for Lane Kiffin, because last time that he was eligible to be watched by Lane Kiffin, he was walking around in tennis shoes with the screw being removed from his foot. So it's good to hear that Levitt is out there, that he's moving around, that he's participating fully, and that he's getting a lot of the reps. And so today, nothing significant on that note, and quite frankly, that's the significant piece, that Levitt looks to be completely fine. Remember, when LSU was looking for a quarterback, you had Sorsby come in, Levitt potentially an option. There are others floating around the transfer portal. Oh, are they going to Washington to get that quarterback? Well, maybe not. He's got a contract. He's going back. Like, one of the talking points was, okay, here we are. It's December into January, and we don't really know if Sam Levitt is going to be healthy. He had surgery on his foot. Well, now we fast forward. We're 7 months beyond that, and I can tell you, having seen it with my own two eyes, Sam Levitt looks pretty healthy. And it's probably not a question that we had 3 weeks ago in Tampa, because we're told he's running 21 miles an hour, and we've seen the windmill dunk, and all accounts are that we've heard that he's doing just fine. But it's worth noting, we were having that discussion in January. What does he look like? Well, right now, I think he looks just fine. I'm not a doctor, and I can't promise you that because I didn't see him run 21 miles an hour, but he certainly participated fully in everything we were able to watch today. So hopefully we see not a more extended time, but maybe some different things in our time out there. If all we get to see is individual, that's just fine. We'll live. I promise. You'll live. You promise. But if I would love to see some 7-on-7, I would love to see some 11-on-11, because I would actually like to see at some point in practice leading up, I would like to see Sam Levitt in a I use air quotes here because he can't get tackled. He's got a no contact on. I'd like to see him in a live drill, move his feet, and kind of throw on the run. I know he can take a snap, plant his back foot, and rip it. I watched that. There's no pass rush. There's no defense. I know he can do that. Can he move? Is he able to get where he needs to get? Because the thing I keep going back to, and keep in mind, I'm well aware this was 22 or 24 years ago. 24 years ago that Matt Malk had this surgery and didn't feel like he was himself running the football. 25 years is a long time to advance in modern medicine. And I'm also understanding that Brandon Taylor told me that he had this injury in 2010, so 16 years ago, and he felt great for spring football. So I'm aware of the advancements, but I harbor a little bit of doubt because of Matt Malk's comments about what Sam Levitt's athleticism is going to look like this year. If you made me guess right now, I would say I think he's going to be all right. But I'd like to watch him do something athletic, and we're not going to get that opportunity if all we get to watch is individual drills, because they just don't do anything athletic in individual drills at the quarterback position. The running backs and wide receivers run around a little bit, but the quarterbacks don't. So we'll see. That's Lane Kiffin's prerogative. He says, that's great, you can do that. We will. If he says, get out of my practice, we'll get out of his practice, I promise. But if you'd like to read more, there's more detail than what I went into just there on LouisianaSports.net. Just one housekeeping note. And keep in mind, as I told you, I did not survey the entire field, but Matt went to defense. I went to Levitt, who worked with all the offense except the offensive line, and I did survey the field on my way in and on my way out. I did not see a non-quarterback in a gold jersey, which is no contact. So it seems like everyone is about ready to go. I can't take roll fully and watch anything in 12 minutes, so I can't testify to that under oath. But Lane Kiffin said today in his press conference that nobody's hurt and that everybody they expected to practice did, and that everybody reported yesterday. So I'll take his word for that and assume that LSU right now is at about full strength. So I will watch more outside of Levitt tomorrow when we go in for an evening practice on Thursday evening. We won't talk about that on tomorrow's show because practice is at 6:30 tomorrow. But for Friday's show, I'll discuss some other parts of the team that I can watch. But as of today, I just said I'm gonna watch Levitt for 15 minutes. That's all they're gonna give us. So I did, and there's your thought on Sam Levitt for today. LSU underway out on the Ponderosa for fall camp under Lane Kiffin 2026. We come back. There's a new camp darling down in New Orleans. We've spoken about it a little bit. The players talked about it today. The media is buzzing, and it's a name you're familiar with. We'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gotros Outdoor Power. Gotros Outdoor Power. 2 locations. Of course, the one on Airline right here in Baton Rouge and the one in Gonzales. They've got their summer clearance sale. Awesome deals in the month of August at Gotros Outdoor Power. You're talking about up to $1,000 off selects Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero-turn mowers, as well as 0% financing. So if you're looking for a new zero-turn, you need to make one call. It's the folks at Gotros Outdoor Power. They've got amazing customer service. They're the local team. They can help you out with transportation of that equipment. They've got the largest parts inventory in the state of Louisiana, largest Hustler inventory in the state of Louisiana, national Hustler dealer 2 of the last 3 years. Right here in Baton Rouge. It's Gotros Outdoor Power. Check them out at GotrosOnline.com. That's Gotros Outdoor Power.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. Now the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know each case and client are unique, and that no two cases are the same. But one thing remains constant, and that is our passion to help our clients. After an accident, we know your life has changed, which is why we passionately fight to make you and your family whole. Remember, whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. We're here to serve you.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
School's rolling around here. It's the case in the Palmer house. It's got to be the case in a lot of houses around here. But that doesn't mean you just put the baseball bats away and you don't think about that until the spring. If you've got a youth softball player, youth baseball player under your roof that wants to practice year-round, wants to take swings year-round, you got a place you can do it right here in Baton Rouge at Marucci. Become a member of the Hitter's House. You get key card access to their hitting facilities, and you can use them 24/7. It's an incredible resource here for youth baseball and softball players. Not only is Marucci the official bat of Major League Baseball, but it's a facility that you can use to improve your game. Cages are available. You can work on your pitching as well. Go check it out. If you've got a youth baseball or softball player and have never given it a thought, I would highly suggest go give it a look. You can also take a campus tour there and learn where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. They make 1,200 of them every single day, ship them off to the best players in the world. What a facility. What a story here in Baton Rouge. So thrilled that they bring you the Hunt Palmer Show each and every day. That's my friends over at Marucci. Check them out online at maruccisports.com. All right, it's one thing when I talk, and I'm going to. It's my show. But it's probably more impactful when folks that are peers start talking, folks that are coaches start talking in camp. And keep in mind, I'm well aware that there are camp darlings in every training camp every year. We know the story of Mason Tipton around here in Baton Rouge. Guys gives a heck of an effort, has hung around in the National Football League for multiple years, has not been an impactful guy many Sundays, but in August, he's made waves. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a Pro Bowler on your hands when guys start making plays in practice, when you just put the pads on for the first day, or you start making plays in preseason games. It's a league that your fate's determined between September and January. So we take this stuff with a grain of salt to an extent, but we also have to take note of it, right? We're covering the team. And there is a player who, now that we're beyond a week into Saints camp, that is starting to make some waves, not just with the media, but with his peers and coaches. We'll start with Kellen Moore's conversation today with the media. The head coach of the Saints was asked what he's seen from Barryon Brown, who once again made some really nice plays today out at Saints practice.
I think we watched a lot of evidence of him playing receiver and playing impactful plays in the SEC for a number of years, not just the LSU year, but the Kentucky year. And when you watch all that exposure and get to know Barryon, you're really fired up to have this guy. And so he's doing a great job. And I think the hardest part for these young guys really isn't the physical. There's an acclimation there, but there's so much mental. And so I think that's credit to him that he's been really prepared to go out there and play.
Is there anything you have to manage on the mental side when the performance is so good early on to kind of, temper a little bit of the expectation around him, or are you comfortable with all that?
Every day is a different install. Every day is kind of new material, and so it's just a matter of these guys getting acclimated to that, preparing each and every day. And so, training camp's a journey. Guys are going to have good exposures early, and we just got to keep going.
How do you say we get to know him? Describe Barryon. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you like about him?
Yeah, I think his energy he brings, I think that's important. You need guys like that who kind of, raise the level of juice and enthusiasm in practice. And I think he backs it by how he plays. He's kind of like got that little spark plug component to him when he makes a play. And I love the way he celebrates. Like, I think that's an important part of this thing. And so I think he's just done a really good job.
It's interesting to hear that from Kellen Moore about Barryon Brown when he says that they watch tape. Because you would have to watch tape. Because the statistics are not going to jump off the page at you with Barryon Brown. He had a good SEC career, but he was not a dominant player at any point. As a freshman at Kentucky, 50 catches for 627. That's a heck of a year. That's a nice freshman year, no question. As a sophomore, he had 43 catches for 539. Again, nice year. As a junior, he missed a couple of games, but 29 catches for 361. That's not going to 361 yards receiving, that's just not going to knock anybody's socks off. And you look at his time at Kentucky. 3 years as a starter at Kentucky. He had 1,528 yards. Malik Neighbors as a junior at LSU had 1,569. Malik Neighbors had more in 1 year at LSU than Barryon Brown did in 3 years, which were not cut short by injury. You're talking about 37 games. In his entire SEC career, if you bake in his LSU year, which was 53 catches for 532, Barryon Brown had 12 career touchdown catches. Chris Olave had 13 as a senior and 14 as a sophomore. Chris Olave had years at Ohio State where he had more touchdown catches than Barryon Brown did in 4 in the Southeastern Conference. And that's not to disparage Barryon Brown. It's to suggest he was really, really, really underutilized. And I talked about this earlier this week, but this brings, when Kellen Moore talks, and we're going to hear from Zach Wilson a little bit later, when those guys talk and they're with him every day and they're watching him produce rep after rep after rep, that means a lot more than what I'm telling you. But I did watch Barryon Brown in practice last year, and I noticed that this is not just a straight line speed guy who's just a kick returner. No, he can actually run routes. He catches the ball away from his face mask. He creates separation from defensive backs. And LSU had some good defensive backs out there last year. Mansour Delane's out there. DJ Pickett's out there. PJ Woodland's out there. Like, they had some good defensive backs. And Barryon Brown was making some plays in 1-on-1s and in 7-on-7s. Now, once you got into 11-on-11, LSU couldn't pass block. The quarterback was hurt. The backup quarterback wasn't very good. The scheme wasn't any good at all. They didn't stretch the field. Like, all of a sudden, all these good things that Barryon Brown can do were just dumped in a trash can because the offense stunk. But there was enough tape through 4 years. There were enough good reviews when the Saints did their homework. There was enough effort at the Combine and Pro Day and the kick return aspect of it that obviously helps for the Saints to go, okay, this is a guy that we want to take in the 6th round. And oh, by the way, let's just not say, oh, it's just a 6th-round pick. The other element to the fact that he's a 6th-round pick is you took another wide receiver in the 1st round and another wide receiver in front of him in Lance. So, there was no urgency for the Saints to take a 6th-round wide receiver, but they did see enough in him, and this might be a hit. Again, it's August the 5th. I know. Winning a couple of 1-on-1 reps out there is not going to seal your fate with the football team, but you had a wide receiver retire in Jalen Polk. Mason Tipton's not out there. You don't have a ton of rapport with Tyler Shough for anybody out there. Olave's got a little bit. Vele's got a little bit. But you're kind of in an open competition. Tyson's got a leg up. He's a 1st-round pick. But Lance comes from a lower level. You've got 4 years of experience in the SEC. And there's probably a spot open on this roster that Barryon Brown could occupy as a 5th or 6th receiver and a return man. And it would be an awesome thing for him to make that happen. Now, Zach Wilson's going to spend a lot of time with Barryon Brown because Shuck is going to be working with Olave. He's going to be working with Tyson. He's going to be working with Vele. So your second-team quarterback is going to be working with some of the guys down the list, the late draft picks, the undrafted free agents, the veterans who are trying to make the team. And here's what Zach Wilson had to say about Barryon Brown today.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete. I mean, he's got a lot of energy. He's running around all over the place, and he's raw, so he's learning, and he's a fun one to just watch in space too.
What does that energy do for you guys as teammates, and does it psych you up to see his reaction after?
Yeah, that's why you love those young guys, man. When they first come in, they got so much juice, and you're excited for him to continue learning to be a professional in the game, and he's going to be a good piece for us. Yeah, he's a freak athlete.
I struggle. I don't want to make too much of this, but I heard it from two different people there, so I'm gonna extrapolate on it. There's something to be said for bringing some energy, for bringing some juice. Now, it's easy to do it 8 days into camp, your first camp. Do you still have that on August 27th? Like, do you still have that juice after you've been at this in the 100-degree Metairie heat for 4 weeks? It's a question. And I've seen Barryon practice. I've interviewed Barryon Brown. He brings some energy pretty much wherever he is. And there's something to be said for a youthful exuberance that is a positive in the locker room for a team, a franchise that's trying to create a new culture that got toxic 2 years ago. Now, a lot of these guys weren't here 2 years ago, and Barryon Brown certainly wasn't. But when Kellen Moore says, I love the way he celebrates unprompted, and then you hear Zach Wilson talking about he's fun to be around, like, there's something to that. Now, you got to go produce. You can't be a class clown, drop 3 balls, and, you're not going to make a team. But if they're weighing everything and you're equal with somebody, but, hey, this guy, 1, returns kicks, and 2, the guys like being around him, and he brings a lot of energy and practices the right way every day, well, now all of a sudden, you're trying to separate yourself. And there's a real chance Barryon Brown is going to stick here. Now, I'm not betting on that. I'm not rubber stamping that this early in camp. Let's go see some preseason games. Let's see him do some joint practices. Let's see him continue to produce at this level and bring the energy that he has. But I think it's reasonable to suggest this is a real talent that was rated that way out of high school. He was a high 4-star recruit when Mark Stoops got him at Kentucky. But he went to Kentucky, and they can't throw the ball. And he spent 3 years there, and they couldn't throw the ball. And then he came to Baton Rouge, and they couldn't throw the ball. So he's underutilized. There's more to Barryon Brown than what we've seen from him, which is not a ton, and certainly not to the level of some of the guys that were first-round picks and elite levels in the NFL. But you're starting to sense this is a guy that's catching on, and I'm hopeful for that. That'd be a cool story here in South Louisiana for an LSU guy to head over to the Saints and make an impact. So that's your early camp, darling. We'll keep tabs on things over in Metairie as they continue moving forward. We'll talk a little bit more about the Saints later on in the show. Step aside when we come back. It's What If Wednesday. Get those questions in, 225-499-1045. We'll get to those next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every week. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. That is builtbyrenaissance.com. Look, if you need the pool of your dreams, you decide this is the last summer we're going without a great pool in the backyard, contact my guy, Joey Blanchard. He'd be happy to help you out with that conversation, with that design, and be there every single step of the way. But maybe you've already got a pool. You've had a pool for 15 years. What's it look like? Maybe it might be time to go ahead and refresh that pool. If your plaster's fading or if it's peeling, Renaissance Homes and Pools can come in, remove the old, and reinstall the new. They don't even have to remove the waterline tile, but that might be a good time to do it if you're updating that pool. That new waterline tile and new plaster are going to make your pool look brand new, and that remodel could expand to decking, your pool equipment, adding automation control, pumps, heaters, lights, valves. All that is available to you at Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. But hey, let me give you Joey's cell phone number for good measure, 225 252-7745. That's Renaissance Homes and Pools.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
People think it's all about game day. Let's go! But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
Extra reps. And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FMOL Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
so we can do what we do best.
We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because in Louisiana, toughness isn't just on the court, it's in your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because championships are built on commitment, not just on the floor or the court, but your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, online at boudreauxelectrical.com. That's boudreauxelectrical.com. Get that Generac home standby generator installed. It just gives you the peace of mind to know that you don't have to deal with those either pesky or really, really bad power outages. The pesky ones come with those afternoon thunderstorms, right? They come through, knock the power out for 3 hours. It's just an annoyance. The house gets hot. You can't open the fridge. Might have to leave for a while. You can't watch TV. That's a nuisance. But then we've got storms that come through. And sometimes you're without power 4, 5, 6 days. And that's just a real problem. You got to leave. And then when you come back, you don't want to come back to a hot, dark house. You want to come back to one that's powered. And a Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical will do that. Be proactive, not reactive. Don't let the next power outage happen to you and then go, okay, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Just call Neil and Melissa up, say, hey, I'm ready to put this Generac home standby generator in. They'll send a local team out. They'll give you a quote. They'll get that installed. They'll service it. They'll monitor it. And you'll be taken care of by a local company that's been doing this for 4 decades. They're 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or the Gonzales location at 225-393-89. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. All right, Dr. Chris Bankhead from Oxford. I want to talk to him about the ramp-up that LSU is in right now. Lane Kiffin talked about that extensively today, about how slow they're going to take things, trying to keep from soft tissue injuries. The Saints obviously had a significant soft tissue injury on the first day of camp. That's the second time in 3 years we've seen that with Kendre Miller having the injury that he did out in California on the first drill of the first day. So I want to talk to Dr. Bankhead about that, and we'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes. But right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, so with in honor of fall camp starting today, what if fans stopped complaining about the traffic and stayed for all 4 quarters again?
I try to tread lightly on the fan thing because I don't live in that world. I get a free parking pass. I get to walk to my seat in the air-conditioned press box. I don't pay for season tickets, and by the time I leave, there's no traffic because
Everybody's
I do the post game. Yeah. So now part of that is I can't go, have some beers and cheer for LSU in the stands. I can't tailgate. Like, there are some negatives that come with it, but my game day experience is just very different than the LSU fans' experience, and I can't speak to it from a financial perspective. It's a huge investment for LSU fans and for any fans of any sports team to invest in season tickets and the concession prices and the whole thing. And like, that's different for every single person. I can speak to the experience in watching from my couch and watching from the stadium. And to me personally, it's just not a comparison. Like, I need to be in that stadium, in the arena, to hear the 100,000 go nuts and to feel the energy in there. I don't feel that on my couch. I watch the Cubs on my couch exclusively. I haven't seen the Cubs play in person since 2022. It's been 4 years. And it's just not even close to even going in the box with 10,000 people and feeling that. I need the energy. There are some people that don't. They want their ice chest next to it. They want their private bathroom. They want to sit on the recliner. They want their internet access and the air conditioning, and they don't want to deal with traffic. And I get it. For them, I not me. I don't care about traffic. I don't care about the heat. I don't care. Like, finances is one thing, and everybody's different in that department, and so you can't really specify it. But if we're just talking about experience, I would much rather be in there, and I'm not leaving for traffic. Traffic's fine. I'll get home when I get home. It's just, that's the way I feel about it. But I get people get frustrated when they have to. It takes 90 minutes to get home. I'm just not one of the people.
Yeah, but the thing is, what do people think 100,000 people leaving at one time? Like, it's going to be traffic.
Yeah,
like it's just going to be
part of the
traffic.
day.
Like,
it's just part of it. And some people don't want to deal with that part. I'm just not one of them.
All right, so what if Eric Walker doesn't get hurt in 2017?
We've done this one before. I mean, it certainly gives LSU a much better chance. Now, look, that teed Caleb Gilbert up for a start that was phenomenal with a little help from the home plate umpire. But obviously, when you get to a situation in 2017, if you're LSU baseball and you get to game one of the final and you throw Russell Reynolds out there as a starter who hadn't been a starting pitcher for you all year, you're in a pretty compromised position. And having Walker and then being able to pitch there and then having Caleb Gilbert for another time is way beneficial. I can't swear to you that LSU wins the championship that year if Walker doesn't get hurt. He had a great year, and I thought he looked really good early before his arm went in that Oregon State start. He got scored on in the first inning, but I thought his command was great in that first inning. I remember texting some buddies going, I know they scored, but like he really threw the ball well in that inning. I think he can do okay against these guys. And so that maybe changes things. It maybe doesn't, but it certainly would not have hurt LSU to have Eric Walker ready to go because you ran out of starting pitching by the time you got to the championship series.
All right, so what if you can keep Blake Baker or Charlie Weiss for 5 years, but the other one was leaving after 2026?
I would keep Baker because he's done a good job. It needs to be better. It needs to be better. Like that, what we watched against Vanderbilt last year and A&M last year was terrible. Yeah. But for the most part, they were significantly better, and he took over a bad unit, and that's the side of the ball that becomes the variable. I think Charlie Weiss's run the last 2 years has been way better than Blake Baker's run the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you could make an argument he's a better coach than Blake Baker. I don't know if I would make that. I don't know enough about what they're doing day to day, and I understand that Charlie Weiss has Lane Kiffin sitting right there over his head. But the reason I'm saying I would keep Blake Baker is because I'm okay with the trajectory of that side of the ball, and I feel like Lane Kiffin can find the next guy to run his offense and his program. If it needs to be him, he can do that.
Yeah.
So I think that Charlie Weiss is a real key to what LSU's doing, and Lane Kiffin talked about that today. I think I'm going to write about that for LouisianaSports.net tomorrow. But I would keep Baker because he's the variable side of the ball with a Lane Kiffin coached program where he's got the offense, and I'm comfortable with where Blake Baker is. Again, they got to be better than they were last year, especially in those two games that I mentioned. But
Marcel Reed, my goodness,
it was awful.
And Milroe,
yeah, terrible. I would keep Baker because I think he's doing a good job.
All right, so this is from the text line. What if Hunt is required to participate in all of LSU's training camp outdoor conditioning drills, but he's allowed to skip just one? Which one would he choose to skip?
Well, that's tough. I would need Hester Flynn, Brandon Taylor, and T-Bob and those guys in here to tell me what the drills are.
They're all going to suck, though.
They're all going to suck, and I probably can't finish them. I can run in the heat. I can run for a long time. I can't run fast,
but I can go out there.
I don't ever sprint. So, like, I'm 38 years old, and I tried to get into a sprint at one point last summer, and I kind of felt like if I kept going, that might not be good for the hamstring. So I pulled up. I didn't, like, twinge or, like, I didn't pull a hamstring, but it just kind of didn't feel great. So anything they're doing with sprinting, I think, is where I got to skip that.
Yeah.
But, like, if we're doing distance running, I'm not in as good a shape as the LSU football team, but I run every morning, so I can run from some distances. And if we get in the weight room, I'm just shot because I haven't lifted a weight since 2006. So that's where we are on that.
Low conditioning, though. Just a low conditioning. I'm actually.
It would be bad. I would probably pass out and need medical attention, but I'm in decent shape.
Yeah, no. So that's why I'm like, as long as you don't have to sprint and you can go out there and just run and just coast with them, I believe you can hang with them. You do run every day.
Yeah, but I'm running light. I mean, I'm 38 years old. I'm overweight, and these guys are freak athletes. So to suggest that I'm like in some sort of shape that can play a 60-minute SEC football game is laughable.
Oh no,
is laughable. But I'm not running sprints out there. 110s is probably not going to be.
Oh Lord, no, not. That just gave me chills. All right, so that's it for What If Wednesday.
All right, that's it for What If Wednesday here on this. You guessed it, Wednesday, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2 of the show today. Lane Kiffin spoke with the media. We'll get into some of that. There's some interesting sound from Colin Cowherd on his show yesterday about non-playoff teams from last year that he thinks can make the playoffs this year. And then I have not talked about LSU's defense today out there on the Ponderosa. Matt took that, but in what he saw, I was able to write for the practice report, and I've got some thoughts on some of the alignment. Again, it's day 1, so we're going to take everything with a shovel of salt, not just a grain. But some things I want to get to at 2:30 that we will definitely do that too. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound, including our thoughts on Sam Levitt that you can find at Hunt on LSU or at LouisianaSports.net. The Saints out on the practice field today. Ross Jackson will have some thoughts on that up on the site a little bit later this afternoon. But right now, we'll come back and close out hour number 1 on this Wednesday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, LifetimeRoofingLA.com, LifetimeRoofingLA.com. Not just roofs. They got some other things they can help you out with on the exterior of your home. You need gutters? Lifetime Roofing can do it. You need siding? Lifetime Roofing can do it. Maybe you need windows. Lifetime Roofing can do that as well. They're online at LifetimeRoofingLA.com. Financing is available. They can help you out 0% for 18 months. Even if you've got a deductible that you want to finance, they can do that at Lifetime Roofing. And as of January 1st, so we're 7 months in, they can offer a lifetime workmanship warranty, which doesn't just cover the craftsmanship. It also covers the materials, which are backed by CertainTeed, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. It's right there at Lifetime Roofing. They're online at LifetimeRoofingLA.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because in Louisiana, toughness isn't just on the court, it's in your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because championships are built on commitment, not just on the floor or the court, but your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
Eagle
98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
At Southern Classic Chicken, we take pride in serving the freshest, seasoned, and marinated hand-breaded fried chicken. It's so good, it's wrong. Choose from a variety of classic sides like our zesty Cajun seasoned fries, savory red beans and rice, or sweet corn grits. Drive through today and pick up a family box or one of our classic combos and enjoy a true Southern classic. Order online and download our loyalty app to start earning those crispy and juicy rewards. Loyalty matters.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. Looking for pool of your dreams for next summer. You've let this one pass by. It's been 1,000 degrees every day, and you don't have that pool you always dreamed of? Well, get ready for next year with Renaissance Homes and Pools. Again, they're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Time now for our segment we do once every 2 weeks with our friends over at Oxford. Dr. Chris Bankhead, good enough to give us a little time here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Dr. Bankhead, we appreciate that time. How are you?
I'm doing great, hon. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Obviously, this is going to be a time where I think y'all are going to get super busy. Football is in the air. The Saints have cranked things up in Metairie. LSU started today. High school is about to be in full swing, and I know how involved y'all are with our local high school teams. But we've seen some injuries over at Saints camp, and we heard Lane Kiffin talk today about the ramp-up, as he called it. We saw him today, no pads, a lot of 50, 60% speed stuff, a lot of walkthroughs. They're taking tomorrow morning off and going to work out in the afternoon. I think this is kind of a new concept as far as ramping things up. It used to be, hey, first day, let's throw some pads on and start popping pads. We've gotten a little smarter now. But is this a medical advancement that we've seen where, hey, we need to, with the heat and with the physicality, maybe take things a little bit more slowly?
I think it is. And so there's a lot of data out there about, when injuries occur. And interestingly, there's a much higher rate of injuries in the preseason, specifically the first 2 weeks of practices like preseason camps. And, there's a lot of thoughts on it, but there's no real answers yet. A lot of thoughts are, well, maybe it's related to competitiveness of the guys, right? They haven't been out there 3, 4, 5 months. They want to really show what they got. Some of it's larger roster sizes, especially the NFL. You probably got double the players that you would normally have on a regular team. Some of it's deconditioning. Maybe some of the guys aren't quite in as good a shape or different kind of shape. So I think the ramp up is important, especially. I think more of the training now, even the kind of the off season and strengthening programs, traditionally have focused on pure strength, right? Moving heavy weights up and down. Now I think guys are more interested in like balance, proprioception, like knowing where your body is in space, slowing down, deceleration training. And so that's probably a big part of these guys like ramp up plans.
I look out at Carolina with Nick Scorton, who goes down on the first day of Carolina's workouts. The Saints had Brian Brzee with a torn ACL his first day of workouts. And when I think about that and the fact they don't even have pads on and you got guys' knees going like that, I don't even know honestly what my question is, but it just surprises me. I understand when they got pads on and it's 11 on 11 and there's guys falling everywhere, but is it just a deal where it's a bad luck or it was just bound to happen when it's just a non-contact situation like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of bad luck, and also probably just some new environments, right? These guys haven't done probably some high speed cutting, or they haven't practiced high speed, drills in a while. Maybe some of them want to, really impress maybe they got new staffs or new coaches, or they want to, make a name for themselves a little bit. But it's hard to know. I mean, and you're right. I mean, we don't have all the answers. If we did, then hopefully these injuries would come down, because they're, it's a season killer for these guys, unfortunately.
Obviously, there's a lot of folks that listen to us locally that are headed to carpool as school starts up here, and there's a lot of youth football players that are about to get ready to go out there and practice and get ready for a season. As far as getting ready with stretching, with dealing with the heat, all those kind of things, like what would you suggest as far as youth players getting ready to go out there and handle football in our elements here in South Louisiana?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the focus, I think, for like the middle schools, high schools, and even universities, is getting everyone acclimated to the heat. Obviously, we're all from Louisiana, and so we're used to the heat. But it's different when you start putting on helmets, shoulder pads, all the gear. And so one of the things that I think people have really focused on the last few years is even ramping that up, like starting with just helmets, and then adding the shoulder pads as you get a few days in, and then adding the rest of the pads. Because all those things are, what we call vapor barriers, and they prevent kind of like the heat from escaping from your body and sort of trap it in. And so that's a big thing. And then one of the things that, that we always emphasize as far as agility and strength to go along with your general weightlifting is what I mentioned before, which is like balance training, deceleration training. So a lot of guys can run fast, but can you stop and control your body and turn it? And that's been a huge focus recently. And I think that's probably the area where most of the guys can improve and work on preseason.
And I know there are going to be bumps and bruises as football practices begin around the area. Elite right there on Burbank is walk-in available. Tell everybody what y'all have got going on over there.
Yeah, we have an orthopedic walk-in clinic that's available every day. We have excellent hours after your normal school hours. So say you have practice in the afternoon and there's an injury that you're concerned about. We're there and available. We've got X-ray on site and great providers who are specialized in orthopedics ready to take a look.
We certainly appreciate the time, Dr. Bankhead. Have a great rest of your week.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it. You too.
That is Dr. Chris Bankhead from Auction. We visit with him each and every other week here on Wednesdays. It's something we talked about all of July with heat-related stuff, thanks to our friends over at Auctioner. If you do have a kiddo that's going to start youth football here coming up in the coming weeks, hydration is so important, and understanding that not trying to power through it, that's not what you're out there for. Shut it down if things feel off. We talked about it all year long in the month of July. It's a scary thing. It's a dangerous thing. And look, LSU's not trying to be the toughest group out there. I was out of practice today. No shoulder pads, no knee pads. They've got cooling stations out there. They're stopping for water breaks. It's not the Junction Boys anymore out there. We're not out there 2-a-days, 8 hours a day. It's not Les Miles practices anymore. You heard Brandon Taylor, T-Bob Hebert, Jacob Hester, all those guys that are here, Matt Flynn, talk about those Les Miles practices where you're out there in full pads for 6 hours total over 2 practices. It's just not the case anymore because it's dangerous. And it's not just, you don't have to be the toughest youth in the building. LSU's doing it one way. The Saints are doing it that way as well. It's important to prepare your body to go out there and get this stuff done. And Lane Kiffin's a real believer in ramping things up and managing workload and keeping his teams fresh. He talked to the Rotary Club about this last week, saying, like, we are going to space out practices. We are going to be mentally sharp. We're going to limit the physicality at times in practices so that by the time we're ready to go on Saturdays, we're ready to go. And he rattled off a stat that they led the country in first quarter scoring when he was at Ole Miss, and he felt like his teams, because of the workload or lack thereof that he gave them in in the course of the week in practice in terms of physicality allowed them to show up on Saturday ready to be fast and one of the fastest teams in the country. And so there are different ways to think about that as we move forward in medical advancements. And Lane Kiffin certainly has one way that he thinks about it, and we got our chance to look at that out there on the Ponderosa this afternoon. I started the hour talking about Sam Levitt. If you missed that, catch it on demand. Hunt on LSU, looking for some Barry and Brown thoughts. I gave you some of those. Hunt on Saints, where you can find our Saints information. All right, we are done with hour number 1 here. We'll pause for SportsCenter. When we come back, hour 2.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is that website. Speaking of the heat, you can ditch that for golf too. Sometimes you got to go out there and play some golf on the weekend. It's a little warm this time of year. If you want to avoid that for your weekend tee time, make it indoors. It's Swing Easy. They've got your golf simulator right there, and you can play some of the most famous courses in the world. Pebble Beach right there on the simulator. You can play where they give you that green jacket every April. They got that course on there. TPC Sawgrass. You want to test yourself on the Island Green. Maybe you want to play Pine Valley or the old course at St. Andrews. You can play by yourself. You can play in an hour, 18 holes. Hit drives, iron shots, chips, putts, and it's all climate controlled right there. You can bring a group, force them. Y'all can crank some tunes, drink some drinks, play some golf. It's Swing Easy Golf Club right there on Segan at Perkins. Again, they're on Segan at Perkins. Get a tee time for this weekend. Rent a private bay and make it your own. It's Swing Easy Golf Club right here in Baton Rouge.
Every Raising Cane's chicken finger is marinated, battered by hand, and cooked to order to perfection. We don't have heat lamps, because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim, which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because in Louisiana, toughness isn't just on the court, it's in your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because championships are built on commitment, not just on the floor or the court, but your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally...
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Mr. Diggs goes to Washington. Free agent receiver Stephon Diggs set to sign with the Commanders, a one-year deal worth up to $12 million. He strengthens Washington's receiver group and gives the team a proven receiver opposite Terry McLaurin. ESPN NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum.
I like it a lot. When you think about Terry McLaurin hopefully being healthy, Stephon Diggs comes in, has 74 career touchdowns, over 11,000 yards. They also drafted Antonio Williams from Clemson, who's a good player when healthy. So I really like this move. Gives them necessary depth that they needed at the receiver position.
Diggs has over 1,000 yards receiving in 7 of his last 8 seasons. Texans wideout Tank Dell took part in a limited capacity at practice today. First time he's engaged in any sort of team padded practice since December 2024. He's coming back from a catastrophic knee injury sustained late in 2024, which caused him to miss all of last season. WNBA Indiana guard Sophie Cunningham told reporters she wants the focus to return to basketball after her comments on transgender athletes sparked heated national debate, 3 rallies, and wide-ranging social media reaction.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Thursday, we get you ready for the Hall of Fame game by going 2-a-days with the Carolina Panthers and Arizona Cardinals. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Officially working towards the weekend, half that work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us. In our next segment, we'll talk about what Colin Cowherd had to say about the New Orleans Saints. And then 30 minutes from right now, my thoughts on the LSU defensive alignment today in their first practice. Gave you my practice report on Sam Levitt at the top of the hour. Again, if you want to read everything that we saw in our 12 minutes of access on this Wednesday morning, you can read it at louisianasports.net. But Lane Kiffin did meet with the media today and covered a wide range of topics. I would suggest wasn't able to give a 17-minute filibuster as he did in Tampa. Just took some questions and nothing earth-shattering today from Lane Kiffin, but there were some things that I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into. The first was, okay, you've got this team. They got 50-plus new guys, and the expectations are through the roof. Like, how do you get a team to work and play together and to come together when they're all so new at LSU?
I think we've just done it for a long time now. I think as a coach, I equate it to parenting the first time you're a parent, versus if you had 6 kids now, so a 6th job, you probably do a better job and made some mistakes. And so I just think we have so much figured out now about how we do things with that it's easier for us to bring people from all over and bring them into the systems. But I also think, our strength coach last night in a meeting said, man, coach, we have very, very few problems on our team and very few attitude problems and guys not buying in or being late or any of that stuff. And I said, you tell me that every year for about 3 years now in a row. And I believe that's because it's what starts to choose you. When they come and they visit and they see how you run a program and they see the discipline, the accountability, the toughness, and how much work goes into it and how much fun they have too, but that it's going to be really, really demanding, I think that's what starts to choose you. And then they also feel not to come, maybe if they were on the previous team and they're kind of around a little bit and they go in the portal. So I think once you establish that, it's knowing what you are in recruiting. We're really open in recruiting. This is who we are. What you see in recruiting is what you're going to get. So I think that's what chooses you.
And I think, look, there is something to having the right mindset, the right people in the building when you realize that you're speed dating like half the team. Like half the team comes in for one December visit and they either pick you or they don't. It's not a 2-year process like the old recruiting method was. So you gotta do the best you can in a short window of time and then hope that your evaluation is correct and maybe get a little lucky in some instances that you do get the right guys in there. And trust me, the other piece of the puzzle is winning helps a lot of things. Winning helps culture. Unless you hadn't done that under Lane Kiffin yet, but that's something that obviously keeps a lot of guys together if you're all on the same track and you're playing for things that are really, really important. Offensively, we think of Lane Kiffin having a system that is extremely productive, and a lot of times when you think about that, you think about things that are complicated or tough to learn or tough to perfect or tough to take one team and get it to the level that it once was. We know that Ole Miss was a humming offensive machine last year toward the end of the season. How do you recreate that with the same coaching staff and completely different roster of players? And Lane Kiffin talked about why his offense is quote unquote easy to learn.
When we went to FAU and we brought in Kendall Browse and we started adding the Baylor elements of the ultra tempo. We had started at Alabama to do fast stuff, but to go to the next level of it. When we did that, in that system to go that fast, you have to simplify what you do, terminology-wise, because it's part of how you get everybody to go fast. So there's not a lot of signals, there's not a lot of verbiage. In that, you actually made the system extremely, without even knowing at the time we were doing it, you were making a system that really players could come in really fast and learn. And I think it credits to a lot of people's first-year transfer success on offense. Shoot, Trinidad got to us in the summer. When does that ever happen? Before that a summer quarterback comes in and can play that well and learn an offense. And then now, with the helmet-to-helmet communication, it's taking it to even another level where it's easier for someone to play early, especially at that position.
That was the most interesting answer I thought he gave today about how we're simplifying the terminology to go fast at Florida Atlantic. And then all of a sudden we got into a situation where the whole landscape of the sport changed and we had to teach people the offense quickly who were only going to be there for 1 year. And because we simplified the terminology to go fast, a byproduct we weren't even anticipating happened, that we could bring people into the system with the new transfer portal rules and they could figure out the offense and the terminology really, really quickly. And another piece to this puzzle is Charlie Weiss Jr. being his right-hand man and growing into the role as the offensive coordinator like he has. And obviously, Charlie Weiss Jr. has come to LSU. He gave a head fake to go back to Ole Miss, and LSU threw another $500,000 at him, and now he's here in Baton Rouge. And Lane Kiffin appreciates Charlie Weiss Jr. being here in Baton Rouge.
I try to really let coordinators do their job. I'll have overview of who we play and maybe overall philosophy. I've been a part where head coach comes in that's at the other side of the ball and tells you to do things, and sometimes it doesn't always work like that because they understand this part of it, not what all that means when you change this one thing. So I try not to do that very much on defense and let them coach.
So he's talking about letting Blake Baker handle his side of things and Charlie Weiss doing his side of things. And then there's the CEO part of this thing where Lane Kiffin's got to run the whole program, and he spoke to how much time is freed up because Charlie Weiss is here.
Charlie, his progression to where he's at now from when we first got him has been amazing, been awesome to watch, but it frees me up so much. I spent 30 minutes this morning on a call with something, potential transfer, compliance type thing, 30 minutes on the call, which I couldn't have done because there was an offensive meeting going on years ago. And now I can go do that because it's an immediate thing that might be happening that I'm dealing with, knowing that everything's done the exact right way. So the Charlie benefit is huge for our program.
And so Charlie Weiss is able to run the offensive meeting, and Lane Kiffin doesn't have to be there to hold his hand, and everybody can keep moving and being productive while he's dealing with something that the coordinators and position coaches don't want to have any interest in, which is handling compliance stuff, which is what the head coach has got to do. And so all of that kind of bakes into the machine that is LSU and how it's running, and how there is a goal in recruiting to bring in the right people, and how you do have to teach people the offense very, very quickly, but they do have terminology that's simplified, and they do have a system that people have been able to catch on to, and that did work at Ole Miss, and it can work again here at LSU, and that he does have more time to do other things. And now that he's got position coaches and coordinators that are in their spots that can handle meetings and do their job while he handles other things, there's a machine that is running in the right direction that Lane Kiffin has overseen. And he goes back to the first answer he gave where he said it's like you're parenting, and you've done this now 8 times. I've got an idea. I'm better at it the 8th time than I was the first time I did it. And so it all boils down to this team. How do you get this team to be as good as it can be? And the first part of that has got to be the quarterback, Sam Leavitt. I talked about what he looked like today by my eye in the first segment. I saw 12 minutes. Lane Kiffin saw the whole day. Here's what he thought.
I thought Sam had a great day today. Really looked the best he's looked. And that was exciting to see. Looks like he's getting more comfortable with the receivers.
That's a good thing. You want to get more comfortable with the receivers, but there's a ramping up period here. We've talked about it with the whole team. You also got to do that with Sam Leavitt. He didn't do almost anything in the spring. He was able to work with the receivers in team and player only drills all summer long and throwing the football. And they went to Dallas and worked together, and he spent some time with these guys. But there's now got to be an element of getting him acclimated into 7-on-7, getting him into 11-on-11, getting him into scrimmages, and having him ready to go and run this brand new offense on Labor Day weekend against Clemson, and Lane Kiffin thinks he's pretty well on pace to do that.
Like I said, I thought Sam had a great day today. And really, I don't look at it that he was really far behind because he did a lot of mental work, did a lot of throwing stuff in different situations, and even when he couldn't, move as well. So I think his progression's been really good, and I think he's right on pace.
We hope. And I don't think we'll be able to tell you that. I don't think we're going to get enough access to see Sam Leavitt do some things on the practice field that would indicate, yeah, he's back to the same guy he was before he got hurt at Arizona State. I think we're going to see a lot of individual stuff until we get kicked out of practice. I think that's what we're destined for. And again, I'm completely fine with that. I don't have any qualms with a football coach suggesting the media doesn't need to be in there for practice. I appreciate it when they let us in. I think it helps us do our job. I think it makes us more entertaining and more informed for y'all. But again, I think that the most important thing for y'all listening is you want LSU to beat Clemson. You don't necessarily need me to tell you what I'm seeing on August 14th, so you can go read it on the website or listen to me on demand or catch me in the car on the way to get the kids home from school. I think you care more about LSU winning football games than you do about listening to what I heard at practice. So it's a deal where I just support whatever the head coach wants to do there, and I think what he wants us to do is watch individuals take roll and leave, and that's probably what we're going to do. So I probably won't see Sam Leavitt do something that indicates to me that I can come on here and go, he's back. He's back to the guy that was running around at Arizona State, playing a little sandlot football, making plays with his legs, running for 800 yards over 2 years, making linebackers miss, getting the corner. I don't think we're going to see that. I would like to, just for my personal confidence in what he's going to do, but I'll take Kiffin's word for it, that he had a good day at practice today, that he's on pace for exactly what they thought when they got him signed back around the new year, and I didn't see anything today that would indicate to me that he's off track. So that's a good thing. That's hearing from Lane Kiffin here on this Wednesday. We'll hear more of the sound that he gave today as we move into tomorrow's show. I'll talk about the defense, which I have not really talked about at all today. I'll do that coming up in 15 minutes. We'll keep chugging along here. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Tub to shower conversion, that's their bread and butter over there at One Bath and Closets. So when I say renovation remodel, you may think, oh my gosh, that's going to cost a fortune. He's going to be in my house for a month and a half. And I'm going, wait, not everything is that labor intensive. Not everything is that labor intensive. Not everything is that cost prohibitive. Maybe it's just something simple. You've got a tub that you either stand in to take a shower, or that's not working properly, or that's older and dingier, or that you just don't like. Well, get rid of it. It's taking up space. How about you put a glass walk-in shower right there? Just changes the functionality, aesthetic of your bathroom, and also adds value to your home. Tub to shower conversion can be done in 3 to 5 days. Every job's different. Every course and scope of work is different. But it's something that David generally says they can knock out in 3 to 5 days. And if you want financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months. So if you have a tub that you either don't use or don't like the look of, or it's not functional, put a shower in. It's One Bath and Closets. They do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. You can find them at OneBathAndClosets.com.
Investing in a new roof doesn't have to be overwhelming. At Pelican Roofing, we offer 0 interest for 21 months because everyone deserves a safe, secure home. Trusted, local, affordable. Pelican Roofing, making quality roofing affordable for South Louisiana families.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The experts at Hood Dental Care want you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays. A $376 value. With over 3,000 5-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care. Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And we always have other great giveaways for new patients. Check out hooddentalcare.com and schedule your appointment today.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
I've been in banking for over 35 years. I usually start about 7:30 in the morning, and I usually leave somewhere around 5, or if customers need me to meet them at their house or their business places, I don't mind going after hours. I have done churches, subdivisions, retail centers, hospitals, and nursing homes. And that's why we chose to live in this community, because of the values First American Bank has, that I can serve my community and my customers.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
It's back to school time. Our friends at Ochsner are well aware of that. As families get ready for back-to-school season, Ochsner Health is reminding parents that success in the classroom starts with overall wellness. So check in on your kids' mental health, not just grades. Pay attention to changes in mood or behavior. Create some time to connect and encourage open conversation about how they're feeling. Nutrition also plays a big role. Ochsner recommends packing balanced lunches, protein, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and getting kids involved in meal planning, so healthy choices are more appealing to them. If you're looking for primary care, pediatric services in one location, make it easy. Go to Ochsner. Families can coordinate care for everybody in the household. Same-day appointments availability at many locations can help families address unexpected health concerns quickly as kids return to school and activities. And extended afternoon hours after school, as well as weekend appointment options at select locations, can give you some flexibility for busy families balancing school, work, and extracurricular schedules. If you want more tips for helping your family start the school year healthy, safe, and ready to succeed, just go to www.ochsner.org/BR. I talk about this often. I like to get outside of the black and gold bubble. I like to get outside of the purple and gold bubble. I like to hear what people nationally have to say, because right now, this is optimism season. Nobody's lost a game. The new coordinator is going to be awesome. The new head coach is going to be awesome. The first-round pick is going to be awesome. The transfer portal addition is going to be awesome. This is optimism season for everybody. And it doesn't necessarily translate to outside the bubble, right? And that's why I like to get outside and get some perspective from folks that are just looking at this without any emotion, without the local beat writers pumping up practice, and are just kind of giving some more unfiltered thought. It doesn't make them right, okay? I want to be clear about that. It doesn't make them right. It just means it's a different perspective. And I appreciate that at times. Colin Cowherd obviously hosts a national show, and he was given some statistics yesterday that I was running across that the average is 6 teams making the playoffs in the NFL that did not make it the prior year. The baseline, the bottom of that list is 4. 4 new teams every year in this format are going to make the playoffs that didn't make it last year. And so he went forward and gave his list of teams that he thinks that did not make the playoffs last year, that he thinks have a really good chance to make it this year. And I'm going to play a little bit of a longer bite here, but this is Colin Cowherd discussing why he thinks the Saints are in that number.
Sure. And finally, for me, the New Orleans Saints, very winnable division. It's noisy in Tampa. Tyler Shuck, 4 of the last 5 games last year. They love him in New Orleans. Big, tall kid with an arm. They won 4 of their last 5 games. They went heavy wide receiver, tight end, and running back in the offseason. So they are building an offense around him, and they got money to spend. Travis Etienne will shore up that running game, which was lousy last year. Their defense was top 10. And again, this is not a high firepower offensive division. So Tyler Shuck played well late. I mean, if you look at his numbers last year, led all rookies in completion percentage, passing yards, and passer rating. Tyler Shuck's passer rating was 96. That's higher than Matt Stafford's career passer rating. Like, Tyler Shuck was kind of the surprise quarterback in the league, winnable division. The Saints are my 5th new team.
I think you still.
That's a lot of the stuff we've been regurgitating. But again, like, we're going to see it through black and gold glasses down here. We just are. And Colin Cowherd doesn't care about the Saints. Colin Cowherd wants to give out winner picks, win money gambling, and have people respect his picks so they click on his stuff more. Like, that's what Colin Cowherd cares about. So if he gives out a bunch of losers or gives out some terrible takes and people stop clicking on his stuff, well, the well dries up. So that's a lot of what we've been talking about, but I think there's credence to it. Like, do you think everything's all hunky-dory in Tampa right now? I don't. I don't know what the Falcons are doing. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback. I don't know what's going on over there. There are some people that really believe in Dave Canales and in the Panthers. I don't believe in Bryce Young. I think they caught lightning in a bottle for about 5 weeks running the football last year. I don't think they're great. And there's something to that. I did not want the end of the Dennis Allen era to be judged based on the division, because you had a coach who hadn't won a lot, and you had a quarterback who had already hit his head on the ceiling in Derek Carr. And if you were just going to try to get by with Derek Carr in a bad division and eke in the playoffs with 9 wins, like, that's not a goal to have as an NFL organization. So I did not want to compare the Saints just to their division at the end of the Dennis Allen, Derek Carr era. But now, with Kellen Moore in year 2 and Tyler Shuck in year 2, I have shifted that and said, yeah, I would like to compare myself to that division in this instance, because I think the ceiling on those two is way higher than it was on Dennis Allen and Derek Carr when they were leading the show. So now I'm looking at this as, how do we take steps? And we went from steps where you were, a bad team in the NFL and fired your coach, to a top 10 pick. And now the next step is competing with your division and potentially winning it. And that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the Super Bowl. We're talking about making the playoffs. And if you can take that step where Tyler Shuck is a guy who had a passer rating better than Matt Stafford's career passer rating and did lead rookie quarterbacks in completion percentage and did win 4 or 5 starts down the stretch and did do some really good things to win games late, and the people you put around him, as he mentioned, with HN coming in and with Tyson coming in, and you go and get a tight end in Fant, and you shore things up with some late round pick wide receivers, and we talked about Barryon Brown in hour number 1, and that seems to hit, and all of a sudden you've got a fortified offensive line and things start to move forward. And then, oh, by the way, your defense was top 10 last year, and nobody really talks about the Saints defense, but your defense was top 10 last year, and if you can sustain that with a coordinator who's really respected in the league in that role, well, yeah, I think you do compare favorably to a lot of the teams in your division. You got to go out there and win close games, but you do. And then if you do win the division this year, now we can start talking about, okay, you've got the plan in place. You've got the foundational pieces. You've got the coach. You've got the quarterback. You've surrounded him with some weapons. You do have some youth on the offensive side of the ball, both tackle spots, wide receiver, relatively speaking, quarterback. He's not young in NFL standards. He's young in experience, and then really in quarterback standards at 28 years old. That's not necessarily close to the end of your rope as a quarterback in the NFL. So, yeah, the next step would be, let's talk about, can you threaten in the NFC? But right now, going outside the black and gold bubble and looking at what's going on in Tampa, what's going on in Atlanta, and what Carolina is, yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing. And it's not just some person in South Louisiana who desperately wants the Saints to win. It's somebody out in California that's looking at this objectively going, this is the team I think can absolutely make the playoffs. And that's not breaking news to you, the Saints fan, but it is offering another perspective. And I like the fact that other people are taking notice of this. It's early. It's optimism season. But we'll see. The big test on this thing, and I hate to kind of dump cold water on all that positivity here, and I don't mean to do it that way. It's just an observation that I'm curious about if we get to this point. But Vegas would suggest the Saints are going to start 0-2, right? Like, Vegas would suggest that. You're going on the road to Detroit. I think Baltimore is the second one. Is that right? On the road to Baltimore?
Yes, it's Baltimore.
Yeah, so those are your first two. Those are 2 of 17, and 2 you weren't favored in anyway. If you are 0-2, what's the tenor down here? Because I'll tell you this, unless they get beat 47-10 and 41-14 over those 2 games, if they lose a couple games by 4, 7, 11 points, I'll go, okay, you're probably going to lose. If you shake up your schedule and throw it all over the table and you're picking up pieces and you go, well, what do you think about at Detroit? Well, that's probably a loss. What do you think about at Baltimore? That's probably a loss. It just happens that they're the first 2. I'm not going to panic over that, but I'm curious how the unbridled optimism around here will feel if they are 0-2. Now, if they're 1-1, everybody's going to think that's awesome. If they're 2-0, we're going to have to Katie bar the door around here. But I'm curious about the optimism and how it shifts into a potential 0-2 start. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's not really a discussion for today, but it's just something I thought about the other day. For today, I'm optimistic, and Colin Cowherd's optimistic, and I think that's good for national talking heads to be considering the Saints again, because guess what nobody was talking about this time last year? The Saints. Guess what nobody was talking about after about week 4 2 years ago? The Saints. At least now, you're relevant. No primetime games last year. You do have a little bit this year. A little bit of juice down there in New Orleans, and I kind of like that. So that's our discussion on the Saints for today. How do you feel about Colin Cowherd talking about the Saints as a playoff team?
I think that it's good. I also think that we're getting to the point where too many eyes are on us. Like, I kind of like grinding in the dark a little bit, kind of sneaking up on people. Now, people are starting to catch on. Oh, man, this Tyler Shuck guy, he's looking tall and he can throw the ball and all that. So I think we're at that point in time where it's time to actually play some football. This is the very end of optimism season, like where you're just going to get the last little bit out until it's time to actually see some games get played. So I think it's good, but we just got to tailor expectations and just let the journey be the journey.
How are you going to feel if they're 0-2?
It depends on the 0-2. Like, if you go out there, like you said, if you get blown out, now I'm like, okay, we got some problems. But if they're close, competitive games, or it feels like, all right, we're like a young team just trying to learn how to win, that losses in the NFL are different than college.
If they lose like they did in Seattle last year, that's a
hell
problem.
no.
If they lose like they did in Buffalo last year, it's better.
Yeah, that Seattle game, you sat down, the game was over with. So that cannot happen.
Blocking kicks.
Yeah, no.
Just a sad
you
scene.
blinked, it was 21-zip, and it was like, what just happened? So no, that cannot happen.
It reminds me of the kid on Angels in the outfield when he goes, boy, they're bad.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like in that Seattle.
It was embarrassing.
But they got it figured out later in the season. All right, chugging along here. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. When we come back, let's talk about the defensive depth chart at LSU's practice today. There were a couple of surprises. I don't know what to read into them, but we'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online at FabryChevrolet.com. That is FabryChevrolet.com. On Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Coming up on 1 year in October since they moved in there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. And I told you about all the great deals that they had throughout the month of July. Well, you didn't think they were just going to shut it all down in August, did you? Absolutely not. 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500, 0% APR financing for 5 years plus no monthly payments for 90 days. They've extended that deal now until August the 31st. 2026 GMC Sierra 1500s, 2.9 APR financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,500 in allowance. That is now until August 31st. So throughout the month of August, great deals. Plus, if you're not looking for a new vehicle, you're looking at the pre-owned selection. They've got pre-owned vehicles that can fit just about any budget there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. So if that's more your speed, check them out. Highway 61 in St. Francisville, and of course online at FabryChevrolet.com.
My name is Mike Krumholt, and I've been with First American Bank for 4 years. What makes First American Bank special is we're able to offer all the products and services that any other big bank can offer. What sets us apart is being able to give that small town feel that someone can pick up the phone and they can talk to someone or stop by the branch and get excellent customer service.
Ever wonder why cane sauce doesn't come in a pre-sealed packet?
It's because it's made fresh inside every Raising Cane's every single day. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because in Louisiana, toughness isn't just on the court, it's in your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
At Parrish, we take pride in building roofs that last. Because championships are built on commitment, not just on the floor or the court, but your home too.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
If your office is experiencing performance issues like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com, FABT.com. It's First American Bank and Trust. They started things up back in 1910. That was 2 years after the Cubs won the World Series in 1908. A lot of things were different back then, as opposed to 2016. But First American Bank and Trust was around for all of that. I say that because I was watching the Cubs in the commercial break. They're winning, beating the Dodgers 3-1. And that's good. So is First American Bank and Trust. Local bank, community feel, but the resources that you need in your banking partner. That's because they got 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So if you want to make a phone call to your bank and get someone in Southeast Louisiana, bank with First American Bank and Trust. If you want a call center in San Francisco, you can find a national bank that can handle that. If you want a decision about your commercial loan to be made in Southeast Louisiana, First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com. That's First American Bank and Trust. All right, we're out at LSU football practice today, and we did not get a chance to see a ton. And I don't think we are in the Lane Kiffin era in fall practice. In the spring, he was very generous with our availability. I don't think we're going to get that in the fall. And again, that's fine. But we have to kind of make decisions when you go out there, what you're going to pay attention to, because it's 12 minutes and you're out the door. So I spent my 12 minutes watching Sam Levitt for 12 minutes. It's like, I'm going to do that and write that up. Matt, because I was over on the offensive field, went over to the defense and checked that out. So I didn't see any of this. I just took Matt's notes and put it up into our practice report at louisianasports.net. But I have comments on the lineup. Again, I didn't see him go through any drills, but Matt did see them go through 11-man defensive looks and then run off the field ones, then twos, then threes, then fours. So I'm going to go through the first and second defenses here because it is interesting to go through this. No one is suggesting that today's defensive alignment is locked in for Clemson. However, I think there is a purpose behind putting guys out there in a certain order. So let's go through it. First team defense up front. Prince Williman and Jordan Ross, the two transfers on the edges, we've known that, especially since Gabriel Welliford went down. Those are going to be your defensive ends. They were all spring. They were today. At tackle, Malik Blockton, transfer in from Auburn, makes a lot of sense. And Deuce Gerald's the freshman. I think Deuce Gerald's is going to start against Clemson. I have said since the spring, the two guys that maybe not everyone was pegging as starters entering spring, that I think left spring as starters, are Deuce Gerald's on the defensive line, and I think that you're going to see Dylan Jones start at running back. But again, it's early. Deuce Gerald's and Malik Blockton on the defensive interior at tackle. I think Gerald's has made waves since he got here in January. Two linebackers, no surprise, Whit Weeks and TJ Daugherty, two guys who were at SEC Media Days. They're your leaders in the middle of your defense. Deshaun Spears comes down. He's going to play the star position, and I think he's going to be very, very good at that. He's a good tackler. He's a willing tackler. He can cover guys in the slot if need be. I like Deshaun Spears in the slot. It's a different-looking star than Harold Perkins, but I like him there. DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland were out at the corners, interestingly enough. DJ Pickett wearing the number 5. You might think, oh, that's a change. He was 3 last year. He's 5. No one's worn 5 since Jaden Daniels came off the field. And DJ Pickett, according to Lane Kiffin today, was promised the number 5 in recruiting. And he felt like, Lane Kiffin speaking, that it was right to honor that, even though he wasn't here when DJ Pickett was recruited. Now, Corey Raymond was, and Blake Baker was, but that was a promise. And I don't care. I would like them to just go ahead and retire 5 and 9. They won Heisman trophies. Don't let anybody wear those numbers anymore. But I'm certainly not going to complain about DJ Pickett coming to school at LSU and deciding he wants to wear number 5. If he wants to wear number 5, have at it. LSU hadn't made the decision to retire the number. He's number 5. Go get it. I don't know if Jaden's offended or not, but no one's worn 9 since Joe Burrow took it off, and no one had worn 5. DJ Pickett now will. He and PJ Woodland, your two corners. And then at safety, Ty Benefield, obviously, been a star since the spring for LSU, and I think it's going to be one of the best players on the team. And not TaMarcus Cooley, the other safety. Jace Thomas is there at the other safety. Jace Thomas was a 4-star recruit from down in New Orleans. Didn't play a lot last year, but a guy that I do know that the coaching staff really liked what he gave them in practice last year. And look, TaMarcus Cooley is a very veteran player, multi-year starter across 2 spots at NC State and LSU. But Jace Thomas got that first look today. Lane Kiffin was asked about it after practice today and gave a very vanilla answer like, yeah, Jace has been good, and we wanted to get him a look out there. Like, there's nothing to it. Like, yeah, he's a starter, or we need some. It was a non-answer from Lane Kiffin. But again, defensive front, Uman Mielen and Ross on the edges, Deuce Gerald and Malik Blockton in the middle, Whit Weeks and TJ Daugherty at linebacker, Deshaun Spears, your star, DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland out at the corners, Ty Benefield and Jace Thomas. That was your first 11 on defense. The second team on defense, on the defensive ends, Dylan Carpenter, who's been a number 2. Lamar Brown, in his first practice in LSU Tiger. Remember, Lamar Brown did not early enroll. He was at U-High through the spring semester last year. He attended some practices, but stood on the side. He was out there today, and number 55 was on the defensive end for the second team. On the defensive interior, Stephylan Green, the Clemson transfer, and Richard Anderson, who's now wearing 88 as a true freshman. That means Dominic McKinley was working with the third team today. Doesn't mean that's set in stone, just reporting what Matt saw over there. Linebackers of the second team, Devon Keys and Tylen Singleton. At the star, CJ Jim Coyley. The cornerbacks were Jakeem Jackson and Michael Turner. And then at safety, TaMarcus Cooley and Fahim Delane. So you look in there at your second team that includes freshman Lamar Brown. And the question is, like, how much can he get up to speed and provide help? You've got 2 veteran players. Uman Mielen is a proven SEC sack artist, and Jordan Ross is a potential high NFL draft pick that I need to see production from that wasn't there at Tennessee. But those are some guys that are older. But Gabe Relaford leaves a hole there. Dylan Carpenter certainly looks the part. He's a get-off-the-bus-first guy. Big, long, physical, but hasn't played a lot in 3 years here at LSU. And then you got Lamar Brown, who, in terms of the measurables, looks ready to play. I mean, 6'5", 295 on the edge, looks ready to play. But can they get him up to speed, and what role can he fill at the defensive end? I was curious who the second team corners would be. Jakeem Jackson was a lock. Michael Turner there over Havon Finney. But Turner is a guy that Corey Raymond does like. That's a guy as a 3-star recruit who has not played at all, who seems significantly undersized, seemed to me to be a prime portal candidate just on those peripheral things. But he hasn't, and it feels like Corey Raymond likes Michael Turner. I don't want him covering Julio Jones because he weighs like 160 pounds, but he's got long arms. He's like 6'2", and he can run. And I think Corey Raymond likes him a lot. I think Haven Finney's got a chance to make a move there on the second team, but the truth is totally told that, hey, LSU needs the corners to stay healthy, big time, because you just don't have a lot of depth there. I don't think this means that Tamarcus Cooley, who was not working with the first team today, has been demoted or benched here. Tamarcus Cooley was a good player for LSU last year. He is not necessarily the highest Pro Football Focus graded player. He's not necessarily the highest NFL draft risk, but I trust Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn to watch tape. They watch all 22. They break it down every single week. They love what he puts on tape from an effort perspective and a versatility perspective. He will come down to make tackles. He will get involved in the passing game. He plays really hard. So I like that about Tamarcus Cooley. He's going to play a lot for LSU. I think this was just a chance to get Jace Thomas a look back there with Ty Benefield. I'll promise you this. Ty Benefield is going to play, and he's going to start. But opposite him, Jace Thomas got a little look today. So very, very interesting. We will get another chance to see LSU tomorrow evening. So I know this, y'all may keep up with this. You may not. I'm not really sure. It is my life, so I know it well. But fall camp practices are almost always traditionally early in the morning, like 8, 9 o'clock. Les Miles, Ed Ogeron, Brian Kelly, we were always out there early in the morning. Kiffin backed this one up to 10 o'clock today, and then tomorrow they're practicing at 6:35. I think there's something to the fact of additional rest for these guys and something to the fact that Lane Kiffin wants these guys acclimated to being active at night, since you're going to play at night against Clemson and at night against Louisiana Tech and at night against Ole Miss, and he wants some of those guys to be ready for it. And that's not uncommon. Jay Johnson practiced like that. Paul Maneri practiced like that leading up to those baseball openers that you play at night. They would practice at night to get ready for that. So I think there's two different reasons why Lane Kiffin does that. He explains a lot of things that he does for a lot of different reasons that a lot of people might think is minutia, but he finds to be very, very important. And so we didn't see a ton today, but I am going to change my watching patterns now. Matt's going to go watch Leavitt tomorrow, and I'll probably go check out some of the defense. And I want to look and see for a couple things. I want to see how Lamar Brown looks out there relative to his peers because we haven't seen him. I want to see what Solomon Thomas looks like because he's been hurt for a year and a half. As far as I could tell, and I said this in our first segment today, I did not see anyone in a no-contact jersey other than the quarterbacks. So that's a good thing. Doesn't mean I didn't miss someone. It's quick. We're trying to take a lot of notes very quickly. But just being up front with you, I didn't see anybody like that. I'll continue to check that as we move forward. Seems like everybody, though, got through the practice today, and they're on to practice number 2 tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and we'll have a report up tomorrow night at louisianasports.net. All right, our Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team are awesome at the insurance game. They understand that a lot of business owners are feeling some pain when it comes to group and employee benefits. They're feeling some pain trying to keep their employees properly insured. It's healthcare, it's dental, it's vision, all that put together. You want to make sure your benefits are good so you can attract top talent and keep it in your organization, but it's cost prohibitive. If you need another option because you've had a bad renewal or a couple of bad renewals, or you've had a significant claim, or you're fearful of your next renewal because you've had claims, if that's the case, contact the Highland Insurance Group. They're not a magic wand. They don't have a silver bullet. I can't promise you they're going to come in and cut 20%, but they can give you another option. And that's what Jonathan Carver and his team have had a lot of success with, helping local businesses keep employees insured with another option. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts with multiple carriers, and they may be able to help you out, but they can certainly have a conversation with you. So check out the Highland Insurance Group. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team online at HighlandIG.com.
Ever wonder why cane sauce doesn't come in a pre-sealed packet? It's because it's made fresh inside every Raising Cane's every single day. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Are you ready for an internet experience that actually keeps up with you? Then you're ready to step into a new kind of reliability with Rev Fiber. When your internet works, the possibilities open up, and suddenly everything feels more connected, just the way it should be. Seamless enough to keep up with every swipe and every click, anywhere you are. So leave the buffering behind. 100% fiber, 0% runaround, where support is still personal. Rev Fiber. Visit revfiber.com.
My name's Mike Krumholt, and I've been with First American Bank for 4 years. What makes First American Bank special is we're able to offer all the products and services that any other big bank can offer. What sets us apart is being able to give that small town feel that someone can pick up the phone and they can talk to someone or stop by the branch and get excellent customer service.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinela.com and tell them Matt sent you.
Man, age is...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Renaissance Homes and Pools brings you our Wednesday shows each and every week. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. You go with the local company. Joey Blanchard is awesome. He's the owner of the company, and he's with you every step of the way. He's there from the consultation, there to the design work. He's got this software available that is so amazing. You're able to design everything you're looking for to scale to build the pool of your dreams. And it can be any type of pool. If you want all the bells and whistles, they got them. If you just want something simple, a little cocktail pool, they can do that as well. But he's there for the consultation, the design, and then the build. He's there. And then when they fill the pool, he's there. When they finish the pool, he's there. You don't have to worry about who your contact is. You're dealing with Joey Blanchard and a local company when you work with Renaissance Homes and Pools. So if you don't want another summer of scalding hot weather where you don't have a place to cool off in the backyard, contact Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you're looking for an outdoor kitchen, they got you covered there as well. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, Jordan, let me paint you this picture here and see what you would do in this situation.
All right, I'm listening.
So today's the first day of practice.
Yep.
It's hot out there, and I wasn't sure how long we were going to be out there. It just said how many periods we got, but a period can be 10 minutes or 2 minutes. I don't know how long we're going to be out there.
Okay.
So I wear shorts. I go to practice in shorts. It's hot. So I wore khaki shorts, took the kids to school today, and on the way to school, I always eat a protein bar.
Okay.
And today's was chocolate flavored.
Oh,
and
Lord.
they've got these little balls that are attached to them. And sometimes when you unwrap it, those little bitty balls fall off.
Like chocolate little ball.
Yeah, a little bit. And
So
it
you
fell off.
sat in it?
And I sat in it.
Oh, my Lord. In the khakis?
In the khaki shorts.
Oh, no.
So I got to work, and I realized what had happened. And so I got in my office, closed the door, took the shorts off, looked at the back.
Oh, no.
Had 2 little brown dots on the back. And I'm like, well, we got 10 o'clock practice. It's 8:15. I can get some work done.
Okay.
I can go home and put some new shorts on, or I can go to practice with 2 little brown dots that are chocolate on the backside of my khaki shorts. What's the play here?
All right, the play would have been how big are the brown dots in the back?
They're the size of a couple of green peas. Like they're small, but they are strategically placed on these shorts.
So the shirt can't cover them up?
Oh, no.
Shirt's not even covering them up. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, I would have kept the khakis on just because I know I'm a bad sweater. So I'm sweating through them khakis off rip at practice, depending on how hot it is. So in my mind, I'm taking these joints off regardless, but that is just a nightmare scenario.
I drove home and put on blue shorts. Put on another pair of shorts.
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, it was what it was. You know, I had some time. I got the work done this morning. I live relatively close to campus. It took me out of my way, but I was able to get back. And I was just like, I'm not going out there with 2 brown spots right there on the back of my khaki shorts.
It just depends on, honestly, it depends on how I woke up that morning. Like, if I was already in a bad mood, I would have been like, you know what, man, I'm going to go home and change.
I mean, I watched the thing fall, and I didn't really see it, and I was kind of looking for it while I was driving, but I can't take my eyes off the road. And then I got out to get the kids out, and I saw that there was like a kind of a smush.
Once you said
and I was
protein
like,
bar?
Yep, I sat in that.
Protein bars are so messy. You ever thought about that?
This is not
Granola
messy,
bars?
except these little balls on the bar that come off when you unwrap them. It wasn't even in a bite. It just comes off when you do the unwrapping. I was aware of it, and I made the adjustment. So I guess you could say crisis averted, even though it was a long way from a crisis. But could have been some people. Could have been people whispering out there. We don't need that. All right. I know how to use the restroom. All right.
Some guy comes up to you, hey, hon, you need to use the bathroom out there, man.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so per NFL insider Jordan Schultz, the Commanders will sign Stephon Diggs to a 1-year, up to $12 million deal. So Terry McLaurin and Stephon Diggs, are the Commanders finally giving Jaden Daniels some correct help? Take it or leave it.
I guess I'll take it. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
I don't know how good Stephon Diggs was last year. Was he really good?
He was solid. He was super solid for the Patriots.
I know where he was, but
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of Patriots football. I don't red zone. I'm watching the Saints. Like I don't watch a lot of Patriots football. I know.
He's all right.
I know in his career he has been great, but you never know when
He wasn't Bills.
I don't know
Yeah.
when that cliff's going to come, and I didn't know if it had come for him or not. But yeah, I mean, in name that absolutely works. They gotta get a lot for Jaden because last year was not good, and then he got hurt, and that makes it even worse. So.
All right, so Live Golf has secured funding from an outside investor that will keep the circuit alive beyond this season, according to league CEO Scott O'Neil. O'Neil didn't identify the investor or how much money was injected into the league, but Live was seeking $250 million to $300 million to keep the league alive. So is Live here to stay? Take it or leave it?
I will take it.
I'll take it.
In a way that you don't think. I think they're going to keep Live Golf alive and make it a little regional tour for those that aren't on the PGA Tour. They're not going to have huge purses like they've had. They're not going to secure a monster TV deal like they wanted to. They're not going to recruit the big stars with those huge buy-ins because they don't have the limitless Saudi money. You can get private equity. You can get investors to give you money. But if it's not enough to go get the next Bryson DeChambeau, go get the next John Rahm, those guys are going to cycle out, and you're not going to have anything. So I think they'll try to keep it alive as another option, like the TP World Tour, like there are a lot of tours around the world. Australia seems to really like this. Play 3 events in Australia, play 1 in Dubai, play 1 in London, then play 2 in the United States. It's not going to be a rival to the PGA Tour, and I don't hate Live existing as a golf tour. I hate Live taking players off the PGA Tour. So you can go play your whatever you want to do for not as much money with the guys that I'd never heard of. That's fine. I don't care about that. Quit taking Bryson DeChambeau and John Rahm off the PGA Tour, and I think those days are over once the Saudis pulled out.
All right, so the Akron Zips have gone viral after promising that one fan can help call the plays for the first offensive drive of their home opener versus Robert Morris University. They announced that one lucky season ticket holder will have the chance to work with head coach John Moorhead to help design the plays that open the game. So is this a good way to get fans to buy tickets and call the plays? Take it or leave it?
Leave it.
Just leave it alone.
This is stupid. This is a stupid idea. I mean, what do we do? What do the players think?
Yeah, what's the media's looking like?
The guy from down the street who either does accounting for the law firm or fixes the toilets,
the local Akron guy,
or sells insurance, or let the radio guy. What
do
the players think? That you got guys calling plays that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a real football game. I'm out. I'm out on the Zips doing this. I guess it's better than no one talking about the Zips, but I'm disparaging the Zips for this idea.
Real August talk. So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Flea flicker. I saw Mike Golick saying he was going to get all the offensive linemen a touch in his drive.
Oh, Lord, please don't. Let's not do that.
Some fumble rooskies, lateral plays. I don't think so. Whatever happened to the hook and ladder? They got to get that back in the game. All right, that's it for us. You missed any of our LSU talk, Hunt on LSU. Missed the Saints talk, Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. Back tomorrow, Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, online at FabryChevrolet.com. That is FabryChevrolet.com. Got some awesome deals going on in the month of August. One continues from the month of July. We've been telling you all July long that those 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500s are 0% APR financing for 5 years, plus no monthly payments for 90 days. So if you want a brand new truck, 2026 Silverado 1500s, 0% APR financing, and no monthly payments for 90 days. It's a pretty good gig there. 2026 GMC Sierra 1500s, 2.9 APR financing for 72 months, plus an additional $1,500 in allowance. That's now till August 31st. And I invite you to go to FabryChevrolet.com, especially if you're in the market for a pre-owned vehicle. They've got pre-owned vehicles that can match any budget. So go check it out. If you want to set by price, you can sort it by that on the website, and you'll see a great selection of vehicles right there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're always online at FabryChevrolet.com.